This is Part 2, Episode 100. At this moment, 5,000 kilometers away from Wang Lin and Red Butterfly's battle, Zhu Wutai was still flying. His cultivation level was below Wang Lin's, so he was still catching up. The moment that half-moon blade zoomed past him, it shocked him greatly. He had never seen anything that fast before in his life. As he was flying, Zhu Wutai suddenly frowned and stopped, then he turned around and looked behind him. He saw a red cloud closing in from the distance. It was causing the entire sky to turn red. Even the rifts in the sky disappeared due to the red cloud. Zhu Wutai let out a sigh. He immediately became very respectful and stood still. The red cloud was like an ancient, fierce beast flying through the sky. When it passed over Zhu Wutai, an ancient voice came from within it. "Come in." Zhu Wutai quickly responded and flew into the red cloud. There was an old man in red clothes inside the red cloud. He was staring into the distance. Although his feet weren't moving, the red cloud was flying at an incredible speed. Zhu Wutai respectfully stood beside the old man. "Zhu Wutai greets senior." The old man nodded and looked into the distance. His eyes seemed to be able to penetrate into the distance and see Wang Lin and Red Butterfly's battle 5,000 kilometers away. He pondered a bit before calmly asking, "Where is Zixin?" Zhu Wutai answered, "Zixin and I encountered Wang Lin and then she left by herself." The old man sighed and said, "Forget it. Let's ignore her. You follow me to the Spirit Mountain." With that, the red cloud sped toward the Spirit Mountain. The old man was Yunqiuzi. The Forsaken Immortal clan used the ancestor's skull. With the tattoo power of a 12-leaf shaman, they were able to break through the cultivation planet crystal seal and send Yunqiuzi inside. However, if the ancestor was still alive, he might have been able to break the restriction on the cultivation planet crystal completely. Because they only had the tattoo power from his skull, the situation wasn't exactly ideal. Although they were able to send Yunqiuzi inside, there was a time limit. Once that time limit is up, Yunqiuzi will be killed by the mysterious power of the cultivation planet crystal. This was why the moment he entered, he didn't waste any time and charged straight toward the Spirit Mountain at the center. At this moment, Qian Feng was also charging toward the Spirit Mountain. Besides the two of them, there were a few other people rushing toward the center of the Suzaku tomb. Among these people were members of the Forsaken Immortal clan and some cultivators. At this very moment, there was an old man who was already at the Spirit Mountain. Although he looked normal, his eyes gave off a blood-red glow. There was a small monkey on his shoulder. The red glow from the monkey's eyes was even stronger. The old man was standing on top of the Spirit Mountain. In the void above the mountain was a door that emitted a blinding, golden light. This door was more than 1,000 feet tall, and it had a very eye-catching, skull-like crack going down its center. The red in the old man's eyes became more intense as he looked at the door. He let out a creepy smile as he sat down and began to cultivate. The monkey on his shoulder looked all around with a vicious gaze. Back to Wang Lin and Red Butterfly. The glistening red rose gave off a tender charm. The image of Red Butterfly was the sliver of divine sense she had been keeping hidden. This was the real her. She looked at Wang Lin with eyes filled with pride and whispered, "Sengyo, act now, kill me, this life without my will is not worth living. I, Red Butterfly, would rather die than live this life." Scenes of Red Butterfly flashed through Wang Lin's head as she spoke. A blessed daughter of the heavens ended up in such a state. How sad. Wang Lin let out a sigh. What he saw in this image of Red Butterfly wasn't pride, but sorrow, a very well-hidden sorrow in her heart. This sorrow contained a very deep sense of pain. Looking at it would cause anyone's heart to tremble. "Red Butterfly, I'll grant your wish." Wang Lin's eyes became serious, then he waved the axe. He suddenly jumped into the air, let out a roar, and threw the axe. The axe shot toward Red Butterfly like a meteor surrounded by lightning. This axe carried a powerful aura. As it crossed the sky shook as if it were about to collapse. As the axe got closer to the ground, it caused the ground to crack and shatter. Red Butterfly raised her head and looked at the axe. The sliver of divine sense left in the rose turned into smoke and entered her body's forehead. At this moment, Red Butterfly's eyes were no longer filled with hollowness and battle intent. At this moment, Red Butterfly's eyes were filled with clarity, pride, and hate. Red Butterfly slowly revealed a faint smile. This smile was filled with joy. It was something rarely seen on her face. The current her was like an innocent maiden, who had dropped all the worries from her heart. A monstrous battle intent came from the axe as it descended from the sky. It was as if there was an invisible giant holding the axe and swinging it down. Although the smile on Red Butterfly's face was beautiful, it still contained a hint of pride. This pride was her true self. Red Butterfly spent her entire life being proud, and even at the moment of her death, she was still proud. Her pride was as high as the clouds and as captivating as a bright red butterfly. The axe pierced the sky, creating a powerful gust of wind and a series of sonic booms that echoed through the heavens. Red Butterfly hadn't even lived for 200 years yet, but just like that bright red butterfly, although its life was fleeting, its beauty and pride were things people wouldn't be able to forget. Although her pride made many people unhappy, although her ruthlessness made it hard for people to get close to her, she was Red Butterfly. The proud Red Butterfly. The axe closed in on Red Butterfly. When it was less than 100 feet away from her, it released a destructive force. At this moment, if Red Butterfly wanted to resist, she had the power to do so. If she wanted to dodge, she had the ability to do so. However, she didn't resist or dodge it. At this moment, her eyes were getting brighter and brighter and the pride in her eyes was getting stronger and stronger. However, mixed in with that pride was a sliver of regret. Although it was hidden well, Wang Lin still saw it. In her last few moments, Red Butterfly met her master. She saw her master's face and heard her voice. She remembered her debt to her master for raising her and her master's gentle and harsh words when she was a young woman. All of these appeared in her eyes. In addition to her master, there was another figure, a weak-looking youth. His eyes were still gentle as he silently watched her. After seeing this figure, Red Butterfly revealed a faint smile. The scenes were still flashing before her eyes until it stopped on one figure. His eyes were filled with love for Red Butterfly. He was the one who dared to steal the Soul Lasher regardless of the consequences. Goodbye. Red Butterfly's smile slowly froze. The axe arrived. The red rose before Red Butterfly released a blinding light, as the petals flew off one by one. A stream of blood came from Red Butterfly's mouth and her eyes slowly dimmed, but that deep sense of pride from between her eyebrows didn't weaken. Next year, when the flowers bloom, there will be a field of roses on planet Suzaku. There will be a blue rose that will bloom in the northern plains. Wang Lin, that is my gift to you. The rose that lost its petals only had the stem left. When the axe closed in on it, it completely collapsed and disappeared. A red mark appeared between her eyebrows as blood spewed out. It looked very shocking. Red Butterfly, you will face one trial in your life. It will be a life and death trial. If you pass it, then the rest of your life will be without trouble. If you can't pass it, then all will be lost. Master used her life to help you foresee this, so please be careful. Red Butterfly, I'm afraid your trial will be related to Seng Nyo. He can't be left alive. Red Butterfly was covered in blood and her vision turned red. Master, you foresaw Red Butterfly's trial, but unfortunately, you only saw the person caught in the middle and not Qian Feng, who was my real trial. The axe pierced through Red Butterfly's body and landed on the ground. It created a deep hole on the ground and black smoke slowly came out from that hole. Cracks appeared on Red Butterfly's armor. The cracks slowly spread until they covered the entire armor. She closed her eyes and her body exploded into a mist of blood. A gentle breeze scattered the mist of blood, causing tiny blood crystals to cover the area. Heaven's blessed daughter, Red Butterfly, died. Wang Lin, help me, kill Qian Feng, please. Wang Lin floated in the air and silently pondered. He raised his head and seemed to have heard Red Butterfly's final message. As captivating as a butterfly, although it was short, the butterfly's beauty was engraved in people's hearts, making it hard to forget. Red Butterfly died, leaving behind only a piece of jade and the soul lasher. These two items floated there, giving off a lonely aura. Qian Feng's domain is endless desire. He wants to devour everything, to obtain everything. In truth, how can domains be devoured? What Qian Feng wants was the moment of connecting with the heavens when one comprehends their domain. He devours domains to obtain different comprehensions, until he can refine his own domain to completion. The information on his jade was what Red Butterfly learned by observing Qian Feng in these past few years. Wang Lin silently watched Red Butterfly's body scatter. When it was over, he let out a sigh, landed on the ground, and waved his right hand. The axe flew back to him, and was put back into his bag of holding. Then he reached out and grabbed the soul lasher from the sky. After carefully examining it, he put it into his bag of holding as well. There was a strand of ascendant-level divine sense on the soul lasher, which Wang Lin couldn't remove for now. But as long as he had it in his hands, he was confident that after all of this is over, he can use the 1 billion soul flag to break the divine sense left on it and truly obtain the soul lasher. After doing all of this, Wang Lin looked once more at the spot where Red Butterfly disappeared and shook his head. Then he took a step and his body disappeared. He started charging toward the spirit mountain in the distance. At this moment, the red cloud Yunqiuzi was in rush through the spirit mountain, and arrived directly at the top of the mountain. Once it got there, the red cloud turned into a tornado and descended onto the mountain peak. Yunqiuzi walked out of the red tornado, and Zhu Wutai respectfully followed him out. Yunqiuzi saw the old man sitting on the top of the mountain, with the little monkey on his shoulder. He frowned slightly, but then he took a closer look and his expression changed. Yunqiuzi stared at the old man and said, "I wonder which fellow cultivator it is to come through possession. Why not come with your real body?" The old man opened his eyes. He casually looked at Yunqiuzi and said, "You and I don't know each other, so why would it matter if I came with my real body or not? Or do you think you would be able to recognize this old man?" The little monkey screeched at Yunqiuzi, and its eyes glowed red. Yunqiuzi's eyes were calm as he looked at the monkey, and then he smiled. "So it is a puppet." The old man's eyes became red as he stared at Yunqiuzi. Just at this moment, the monkey on the old man's shoulder screeched, the red disappeared from the old man's eyes, and he said, "I'm Mo Lahai." With that, a vicious intent flashed across his eyes before he closed them and resumed his cultivation. Although this person looks like he is at the late stage of soul transformation, there is a mysterious feeling about him. Normal people wouldn't be able to detect this. Only people who have reached the ascendant stage can clearly feel this. This person isn't from planet Suzaku. Yunqiuzi looked at the old man once more before withdrawing his gaze. He then looked at the giant door and silently pondered. With his understanding of the Suzaku tomb, he felt very shocked the entire way here. This was completely different from what the previous Suzaku told him. Those life forms were clearly formed by the mysterious power of the cultivation planet crystal. From what he remembered, the previous Suzaku told him that those life forms only appeared in the inner part of the Suzaku tomb. However, the spirit mountain was still the same. The door was the only way into the tomb of the first Suzaku. The cultivation planet crystal was stored inside the first Suzaku's tomb. However, this door was impossible to open without the cultivation planet heart. If he wants to enter, he will have to wait until it shatters to a certain degree. As Yunqiuzi examined the door, his expression slightly changed. He looked at the bottom of the spirit mountain, and then withdrew his gaze. Shortly after, Qian Feng's figure quickly moved from the bottom of the spirit mountain to the top. When he appeared, he very cautiously looked at Yunqiuzi. Then he moved to the side and found a corner to sit in. It didn't take long before several more people arrived. 2 of them were 8-leaf shamans. When they arrived and saw Yunqiuzi, they were very happy. They quickly went up to him and stood next to him with looks of respect. There was also a cultivator who arrived. He was wearing a blue robe, as well as a fierce mask that covered his face. The mask gave off a blue aura that prevented divine senses from getting through. After he got to the top of the mountain, he looked around and then silently sat on the side. 1 hour later, 3 rays of light were rushing across the sky toward here, but just as the 3 rays of light got closer, the entire spirit mountain shook. The door also shook violently, and more cracks appeared on it. At this moment, not only was the spirit mountain shaking, but the entire Suzaku tomb was shaking. Similar to the first incident, a large amount of earth collapsed into nothingness, and a large number of rifts appeared everywhere. The sky was the same, collapse occurred everywhere. The 3 rays of light never made it to the spirit mountain, because all 3 of them died to a rift that appeared close to them. The shaking this time lasted longer than before. It lasted for 30 breaths of time before it stopped. During this time, the entire outer section collapsed into a void filled with dangerous rifts. There were still cultivators trying to enter the Suzaku tomb at the foot of Mount Suzaku, but everyone that entered was immediately killed by the rifts. Gradually, more and more people entered, but it seemed like the Suzaku tomb had lost its restriction that was preventing people from entering. After a while, some cultivators realized that something was wrong. It finally became too strange, and no one dared to enter that passage again. In their eyes, that passage had become a demonic beast that devoured cultivators. If you walk in, you will die. On the spirit mountain in the center of the Suzaku tomb, even more cracks appeared on the door, and some cracks connected together. After the shaking was over, Yunqiuzi's eyes lit up and he looked at the door. Then he activated celestial spiritual energy and waved his right hand. A giant hand print suddenly appeared and landed on the door. With one press, the door shook, but the cracks on it didn't increase and the hand print disappeared. Yunqiuzi frowned and gloomily waited for the next collapse. However, his gaze would occasionally look at the foot of the mountain, as if he were waiting for something. At this moment, a purple figure walked up from the foot of the mountain. This person was a woman wearing a purple veil. She wasn't by herself. Following her were 4 old men with tattoos glowing on their foreheads. Each old man was at the late stage of soul formation, and there were many wounds on their bodies. This woman was Zixin. The reason she and Zhu Wutai could arrive here by themselves was because both of them had several tattoo puppets. These tattoo puppets were given to them by Yunqiuzi for protection. After seeing Zixin, Yunqiuzi nodded and signaled her to come over. Zixin took a deep breath, as she looked at Qian Feng in the corner with deep hatred in her eyes. Then she made her way to Yunqiuzi. After Zixin arrived, Qian Feng's eyes never left her. His expression was very ugly and he revealed powerful killing intent. When he looked at Zixin, there was a flash of painful struggle in his eyes. As Qian Feng stared at Zixin, he said, "Word for word, bitch Zixin." Zixin looked at Qian Feng and didn't say a word, but the hatred in her eyes was sky high. Qian Feng's breathing was getting rough. He looked at Yunqiuzi before forcing himself to calm down. He then looked gloomily at Zixin before letting out a sneer and closing his eyes. Just at this moment, another figure came up from the foot of the mountain and arrived at the top. The moment this figure appeared, a majority of the people on the peak looked at him. Qian Feng suddenly opened his eyes and a hint of coldness flashed across them. Zixin immediately lowered her head. She backed up a few steps to stand behind Yunqiuzi. Yunqiuzi's eyes lit up and he revealed a smile of intrigue. Zhu Wutai let out a sigh. He was chasing after Wang Lin before to tell him something. However, he didn't expect to meet Yunqiuzi. The person that arrived at the top of the mountain was Wang Lin. After Wang Lin arrived, the eyes of the old man with the little monkey flashed red for a moment. He stared at Wang Lin and let out a creepy smile. The little monkey on his shoulder looked at Wang Lin with a gaze filled with unhidden hostility. The person wearing the mask also turned his head to look at Wang Lin. His eyes were filled with confusion and then with clarity. He nodded at Wang Lin and didn't say a word. Wang Lin looked like a mess right now. His clothes were extremely worn out. Earlier, when he was going up the mountain, the second collapse happened. He had a hard time with all the rifts appearing, so in the end he dug a hole in the side of the mountain, and didn't dare to come out until the collapse was over. If he had stayed in the air, he would have died. Brother Wang. Seng Niu. Wang Lin. 3 different calls came from different people at the top of the mountain. The person who called him Brother Wang was naturally Zhu Wutai. The person who said Seng Nyo was Qian Feng, and as for the last ancient voice, it was Yun Qzi. Wang Lin calmly looked at everyone until his gaze finally landed on Yun Qzi. This was his first time meeting Yun Qzi after they departed last time. The messy look from before was completely gone. The current Yun Qzi was similar to Zhu Qzi. Wang Lin looked at Yun Qzi and Yun Qzi looked at Wang Lin, both were silent. Shortly after, Wang Lin bitterly smiled and said, "Junior greets senior." Yun Qzi let out a sigh. He shook his head and said, "You also came here." Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and rays of black light flew out of it. Under his command, they flew toward Yun Qzi and turned into wood carvings when they got near him. These wood carvings were all the same, and they were all of a very handsome young man. Senior's request has been completed by Junior. After that, Wang Lin sat down in a corner and no longer spoke. Yun Qzi's eyes lit up. He waved his hand and all the wood carvings disappeared. He looked at Wang Lin one more time, before turning his gaze back to the door. Wang Lin wasn't interested in how Yun Qzi was able to enter this place. After all, the Forsaken Immortal clan had been around for a very long time, and he wasn't the type who had to find the answer to everything. Wang Lin had already given up on getting the cultivation planet crystal, he just wanted his soul piece back. After all, this crystal was connected to all living things on planet Suzaku. Wang Lin hadn't reached the point where he was willing to sacrifice the lives of everyone in the world for his own selfishness. Of course, if someone had enmity with him, that was a different story. Killing everyone who had the blood of the Ting family showed that Wang Lin wasn't a saint by any stretch. After he sat down, his eyes lit up as he looked toward Qian Feng. At this moment, Qian Feng also looked toward Wang Lin and their gazes crossed. Wang Lin revealed a cold smile before shifting his gaze toward the man with the mask. The man looked unfamiliar, and Wang Lin wasn't able to recognize him. Finally, his gaze shifted to the strange old man, who had left behind that creepy smile. Who exactly is he? The danger Wang Lin felt from the old man was several times greater than what he felt from Yun Qzi. A hint of coldness flashed across Wang Lin's eyes as he stared at the old man. When the old man noticed Wang Lin's gaze, he looked toward Wang Lin and revealed a dark smile. This smile felt extremely familiar to Wang Lin, but he was sure that he had never seen this person in his life. Just at this moment, a ray of light came the distance. There was a beautiful figure inside that ray of light. She dodged a rift and landed on the spirit mountain. This woman was very beautiful. The bottom edge of her dress looked like waves moving up and down, making her look like a celestial, as she stood on the top of the spirit mountain. The moment Wang Lin laid eyes on this woman, his face sank. This woman wasn't anyone but Liu Mai. In fact, one thing Liu Mai said was right. She and Wang Lin were the same type of person. Deep inside each of them lied a sliver of ruthlessness. Wang Lin only took one look before withdrawing his gaze. His expression was cold, no different than how he faced Liu Mai before. After Qian Feng saw Liu Mai, he revealed a look of joy. He thought that with her here, his chance of getting his soul piece back had increased one-fold. Liu Mai revealed a trace of sadness, as she raised her foot and walked toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin frowned. He didn't have any good feelings toward this woman. The thing that happened in that dreamlike state was only an accident. He coldly looked at her and said, "I don't want anyone to bother me. Don't come closer." Liu Mai stopped. She looked at Wang Lin and asked, "Could you really be made of iron and stone?" Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he coldly said, "Leave." Liu Mai started laughing at him. "Then what status does Li Muwen have in your heart?" Wang Lin's eyes were filled with killing intent as he said, "Scram. Although your domain has reached its completion, if I wanted to kill you, it wouldn't be hard. Don't start courting death." The purpose of Liu Mai's words was to ruin Wang Lin's Dao heart, but she didn't know that Li Muwen was taboo to Wang Lin. He would kill anyone who mentioned her name. If it wasn't for the fact that this was not a good place, he would have already taken out the soul flag and killed this woman. Wang Lin cared a lot about his few relationships, but he was cold to strangers. He was a man made of iron and stone, this wasn't false at all. Liu Mai faintly smiled, then she turned around and walked toward Qian Feng. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and then saw the old man looking at him. Could this person be possessed? Wang Lin's heart skipped a beat. He thought that this was one possibility. If not, there was no way this person would make him feel such familiarity. If Wang Lin was only a mortal, he wouldn't have thought this much from just a smile. Even if he were a low-level cultivator, he wouldn't have considered the possibility. But Wang Lin was an early-stage soul transformation cultivator. Even among the stars, they were considered powerful and couldn't be underestimated. If it was before the celestial realm was broken, soul transformation cultivators would be the same as celestials. Their bodies would be made of celestial spiritual energy, and they would possess some mysterious senses. These senses were very strange. Only the powerful cultivators could feel this. If one's cultivation level was high enough, with just a thought, they would vaguely see future events. The mysteriousness of these techniques was impossible to describe. At this moment, Wang Lin had this feeling. He knew he wasn't wrong. That creepy smile was very familiar. I have cultivated for 600 years and met a lot of enemies, but for one to be able to make me feel like this with just a smile, there is only one. Although Wang Lin appeared calm on the surface, his heart was in turmoil. He took a deep breath and lowered his head. Then his pupils shrank, and his eyes revealed a trace of dread. Two-sized demon, Tuo Sen. Wang Lin felt his body became cold. When speaking of the people Wang Lin dreaded the most on planet Suzaku, Zhu Qzi wasn't even number one. The number one spot belonged to the demon-like young man he angered back in the land of the ancient god, when he was only a core formation cultivator, Tuo Sen. The inheritance of the ancient god was split into two, the inheritance of power and the inheritance of knowledge. Among the two inheritances, the inheritance of knowledge contained all of Two-Sai's knowledge, like how to become an ancient god, the ancient god tactic, and more. There was even a giant star map in Two-Sai's memories. This was a map of everywhere he had traveled. These memories were very helpful to Wang Lin. Without the inheritance of knowledge, Wang Lin's original body wouldn't have been able to cultivate to a 3-star ancient god. But memories were only memories, they came without any power. There were many techniques in Two-Sai's memory that could instantly destroy planet Suzaku. He knew the chants and methods of all these techniques, but he didn't have the power to use them. He needed to at least reach the 7-star stage to use these techniques. This was why he could only take it step by step to make his original body stronger, and finally use the full power of Two-Sai's memories. Similarly, Tuo Sen was in the same situation. He inherited Two-Sai's power, the power of an 8-star ancient god. But even though he had power, he couldn't use it to its full potential. It would be the same if his body had no meridians, no matter how much power his body held, he couldn't use it. All of the techniques he controlled were techniques he learned after he was born. Through these he was able to use a bit of his inheritance of power, but right now he was only able to use a bit of it. So he was unable to display the full power of his inheritance. To be more accurate, the limit of the power Tuo Sen could control was only as much as a 5-star ancient god could use. Compared to Two-Sai, who was once an 8-star ancient god, this power was simply too weak. However, compared to all the life on Suzaku, a 5-star ancient god was an existence of legends, an existence that was one whole level higher than ascendant cultivators. Tuo Sen's greatest wish is to obtain the inheritance of knowledge. After that, he would only need time to absorb it all, refine his body, and become a real 8-star ancient god. At that moment, even those old monsters of the Cultivation Alliance would dread him. If it wasn't for what Wang Lin did inside the land of the ancient god that day, Tuo Sen would have been able to escape. To be more accurate, he was Two-Sai, but he was only a piece of the demonic thoughts that appeared when Two-Sai failed his divine sense division technique. He was determined to catch Wang Lin. Wang Lin raised his head and casually scanned the old man. This time his gaze focused on the little monkey. After having an idea this time, Wang Lin was immediately able to see through them. The red light that appeared in the small monkey's eyes were the unique aura from the people inside the sea of blood. Wang Lin felt very bitter in his heart. He thought of Six Desire Devil Lord, Hunchback Meng, Ancient Emperor, and the rest of them. All of them either died or became cultivators in the Sea of Blood. In addition, there were those ancient cultivators. They were born before any cultivators arrived on planet Suzaku. Those people's cultivation levels were also very high. However, with Wang Lin's current experience, he was able to guess that they hadn't gone past the ascendant stage. It must have been due to some restriction set up by the land of the ancient god that prevented their cultivation levels from increasing in all these years. However, within their hands were some techniques unknown to the future generations. Once they used them, their power would sharply increase. To Sen, he shouldn't be fully free yet, or there would be no need to possess someone like this. He would have come out to find me personally. However, why did he not come here instead of hunting me down? Could he also be after the cultivation planet crystal? Wang Lin's heart trembled. Could it be that the cultivation planet crystal could free him completely of the shackles of the land of the ancient god? Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Just at this moment, the spirit mountain began to shake once more and a series of thunderous roars echoed from the sky. The collapse appeared for the third time. A large amount of the inner parts of the Suzaku tomb collapsed into countless rifts. Cultivators and Forsaken Immortal clan members, who weren't able to find the spirit mountain, all died. This video will end here.